Hello you plonkers and welcome back to another video on the Druzy channel. We are here today for the AFL season predictions. So last year I predicted GWS to win the flag and they didn't make the 8, so we've got high standards for this year. But without any further ado, if you like the video, drop a like, drop a sub, drop your nan. Don't get salty if my predictions offend you. They're predictions, words before. I said that last year, so don't get salty until the end of the season when my predictions are definitely wrong. Alright, let's get into the ladder predictions. Who's gonna win the wooden spoon? Kangaroo. I'm sorry, North Melbourne, but you're getting the spoon this year. They've got a new coach that is stinky 2020, and I think Adelaide have sort of developed a little bit more than North Melbourne did in the last year. Despite having the third pick in the draft and taking the gun, that is Will Phillips, they've lost their leading goal scorer for the last however many years in Ben Brown. They've got Jaden Stevenson, obviously. Can he make an impact? I think he needs a better, more experienced list around him. I don't see the Kangas doing well. I see them winning the spoon. Who's at 17th? It's the Adelaide Crows. Alright, now obviously they won the wooden spoon last year. Not a very good year for the Crow boys, but they're a rebuilding side. They're going to be in the lower half of the ladder for the foreseeable future, and the 17th place finish is absolutely dog shit, but what can you do? They should have some players back. I think Rory Sloane was out for lots of last year. They obviously still have the star power there in your Rory Lairds and your Tex Walkers when he decides to show up. Big loss in Crouch going to St Kilda, but you know, there's not much further down you can go from the wooden spoon. In fact, there is no much further down you can go from the wooden spoon, so maybe taking one leap up is a step in the right direction. Adelaide, you're finishing 17th. Who's coming in at 16th then, Andrew? I hear you ask. It's the Essendon Bombers. This is controversial in some people's eyes, not mine, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have put them here. That dickhead from True Footy says that they're not going to go through a rebuild and that they're going to push for the top 8. I disagree. They've taken 3 picks in the top 10 of this year's draft. They've lost Adam Sard, who was one of their best players last year. Orazio Fantasia and the same in Joe Danaher. They've lost their coach. It's just a rebuild all over for me. I don't know what Jesse's smoking, but I see Essendon dropping. I don't see them being competitive against any sides that are pushing the 8. I'm sorry, Bombers fans. If I'm wrong, come at me. At the end of the season, not now. 15, Hawthorn. It's been sort of nice to see Hawthorn do shite after years and years of domination. They're finally slipping down the ladder. Had a bit of a stinky year last year, but it wouldn't be unlike Hawthorn to just crack the 8 again. So, you know, this one is a bit controversial. I remember when they played Freo last year, they had no real options going forward. They're very reliant on Gunstons and Bruce going forward, and when that gets taken out, there's nothing else they can bloody score from. I remember they put James Sicily up forward against the Dockers, and that didn't go too well for them. James Sicily obviously did his ACL last year, one of their better players out. Tom Mitchell, Jimmy Warple in the middle. They've still got that good core, but there's some stars in a shite. At 14th, I've got the Gold Coast Suns. Right, now, everyone always predicts the Suns a little bit off the bottom, just to be a little bit edgy. And I've done exactly that. Matty Rowell will be back, and he'll get them at least 6 wins. So there you go, Matty Rowell, the ginger boy in the red on the Gold Coast, and they're going to elevate the Suns to 14. But it's nice to see Gold Coast finally use the talent that they've been provided on the Gold Coast. And no, I'm not talking about the girls in bikinis. I'm talking about your Noah Andersons, Matt Rouse, Benny King. In 13th, I have Sydney. Very young, talented side that I really enjoy to watch, genuinely. And they've just drafted the best forward in the draft, pretty much, I reckon, in Logan McDonald. Buddy could be back. Logan times Buddy equals future Buddy, but current Buddy could go off. Jake Lloyd, one of the best back pocketers this league has seen in recent years. Isaac Heaney, great young talent, potential future Brownlow medalist. I mean, the list goes on. They have a good list, and I see them climbing up the ladder this year. 12th, I have put the Carlton Blues. Now, they finished 11th last year, I believe. So they tied Freo for points on the ladder last year, but finished higher on percentage. If it wasn't for an AIDS umpiring decision and an absolute rip-snorting set shot from Jack Nunes, they would have finished below the Dockers. But, you know, this is another controversial one because they're such a big club with lots of young talent. I see them being a threat to the top 8, but I don't see them quite getting a string of consistent wins together all season. I don't see them cracking the 8. Still a young side, still developing, still don't have that consistent forward who can kick 4 goals for them every week. I'm sorry, Harry Mackay, but you're not cutting it. And the bloody baggy Blues are going to finish in 12th. The Dockers, I have predicted to finish in 11th. They are a very underrated side, but the top 8 is so stacked now. There's really good sides missing out, and I think it'd be a bit biased of me to put the Dockers in the top 8 again. I see us being a threat to many teams, but I just don't think we can keep that consistency against the top side sort of thing. I think we'll be a threat to most teams in the comp. I think we'll stay in most games. I think genuine AFL experience will overrule us in some games this year, and it'll make us drop to 11th. But I think, give it 2 years, Dockers will be back in the finals. At 10th, I've gone with the GWS Giants. Now, they were in the grand final 2 years ago, had a stinky year last year, and their best player, arguably, in Jeremy Cameron, has left. That's going to absolutely rip the dick out of that GWS team. I just don't see them cracking the 8 without that forward threat in Jeremy Cameron, because he is one of the best, if not the best forward in the comp on his day. They've brought in Jesse Hogan. Will he have an impact? I doubt it. I reckon he's lost it. I reckon his head is all over the shop. He can't get his mind and his body in check. I don't think he'll be able to cut it at GWS, and for that reason, I think that GWS will not crack the top 8, not the top 9, but the top 10. Now, at 9th, I've put Collingwood, another side that was in a grand final not long ago. They made the finals last year, won a final, and then just got absolutely turkey slapped out of it by the Geelong Cats. Now, you'd think, alright, we're on the up, we've won a final, it was a rough year, COVID year and whatnot, we had to stay away from our families, alright, we're coming back strong next year. But they've got another sucker punch. Eddie Maguire's gonna bloody leave, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he might be gone, actually. Just lots of inner club turmoil. Can they handle it? Also, on top of that, losing Jaden Stevenson, losing Tom Phillips, losing Adam Treloar. I mean, it's a misery compiler. Can Collingwood defeat the odds against all the odds? I mean, all the odds are stacked against them this year. Can they rise up and make the 8 and make a prelim? I don't think so. They're staying in 9th this year. So in 8, they better deliver, because they didn't last year. It's the Melbourne Demons. I've had them sneaking into the top 8, slightly improving on their year last year. I think they finished 9th. I think they will come in to the 8 just from the pure Big Ben Boner Brown factor. It's all they've been missing, really. They've got one of the best midfields in the comp. Christian Petrarca, absolute jet. My favourite player, bar none in the AFL to watch. Clayton Oliver, just a contested ball beast. Max Gawn, best ruckman in the comp. Bloody Stephen May, solid fullback. You got all these players that I'm forgetting to mention. Ed Langdon on a wing, Jake Lever on the half-back line. Melbourne are stacking up nicely. They're gradually building, and I think they'll take the next step in their development, and they'll make the 8. Probably won't win a final, but you can't complain as a Melbourne fan making the finals. Who is 7th on my ladder? It's the Western Bulldogs. Now, they've taken from Collingwood one of the best midfielders in the comp in Adam Treloar, I think. They've added that into a midfield that's already just jam-packed, and I reckon the talent's going to find it hard to shine through in that Bulldogs midfield. It's going to be oversaturated. You're going to have players playing out of position. The talent's obviously there, but I think if you scatter this talent out over the field, you have a more balanced side. When you're in the middle, you're tipped up like that, and then you're falling down all over the other shops. So for that reason, Bulldogs are finishing 7th. Ken Norton, he had a good first year, an okay second year. He needs to stand up. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. We'll see if the Bulldogs work hard this year. 7th on the ladder. In 6th, I have the club of the most beautiful man in AFL YouTube, the Port Adelaide Power. That's what they're called, the Power. Finished 1st on the ladder last year, but I don't think that was representative of the club that they actually are. I'm sorry, Anthony, alright? You had home ground advantage pretty much the whole season. That mental edge that would have given the players over every other team. I mean, it showed. They finished on top of the ladder. Now, I think if the season's more balanced and COVID doesn't shaft us all, those more elite clubs that have been established for longer, your Richmonds, Geelongs, West Coast, that aren't going to have to fly all over the country and stay in hubs, they're going to be better in the home and away season. But I think there's 5 teams that are more established and have more experience and bloody are just better teams than the Port Adelaide Power, alright? So that's why I've decided to put Port Adelaide in 6th. Rather controversial, 1st to 6th, that's a bad drop. Maybe the time is now for Travie Boak. He needs to go and get a flag before he, retires and walks off into the sunset on his rocking chair. They've added Aliir and Orazio, 2 potential All-Australian players. Can they be the X factor that takes them to a grand final? That next step after the prelim. It's no good finishing 1st if you can't make a grand final. Even though I've put them 6th, I think this will be a huge year for Port. They got to deliver to huge expectations from last year. In at 5th, I've put the ever improving St Kilda Football Club. They're adding players every off-season, strengthening their side, priming them for a big finals run. And last year they won a final. Now that's a good step in the right direction. They did get kicked out in the second week by the Premiers, so I mean it's not too bad, but obviously they'll be wanting to take that next step next year. They've put effort towards that. They've added Brad Crouch from Adelaide, an all-Australian caliber player, Jack Higgins, a great small forward, and they haven't lost bugger all either, so they've just strengthened, and more squad depth is a good thing. More pressure on positions. The players will be hungry to play in this side that's improving every week, and I see them going up to 5th. I think they finished 6th last year, so a little jump up. So good on you, Saints, and hopefully you can do well for Cardband 22 and the starving fans who haven't had a premiership since 1966. At 4th, I've got the West Coast Eagles, a team that hasn't cracked the bloody top 4 in 2 years. I think they have probably the best list in the competition. Got shafted by injuries last season. That's never good. You don't want to get shafted in any way, shape or form. With a healthy list, Eagles are the best list in the comp, bar none. They've strengthened with Alex Witherden and Zach Langdon. Just a bit of depth there. And if Nick Nat can stay healthy again, he had probably the best season of his career last year. They just need that midfield to click, and once it does, I think it's game over for everyone. Oscar Allen developing nicely. This will be a huge season for him, and I think the Eagles will be a very big issue, especially for my health and well-being. But I think the Eagles will finish 4th regardless. At 3rd, I've got the Premiers, the Richmond Tigers. Now this is where they finished last year, and they won the flag. But this is where I've put them. Not much else to say. Everyone knows what Richmond is. They finished 3rd last year and won a flag. Next, 2nd, I've put the Brisbane Lions. Brownlow medalist Lachie Neale, I miss you very much. I've loved seeing Brisbane's rise from rags to riches. I remember seeing little skinny boy Eric Hipwood run around the park. See their rise under Fagan has been inspiring. They had a big chance to win the flag in their home state last year and they couldn't capitalise. They failed at the second last hurdle. They failed to the Premiers at their home ground. But it's time for Brisbane to establish themselves as a top side. You can't be getting dicked around by the big boys. Pull yourself up and say, I'm here to stay, boys. Fucking bang. And that's what I need to see Brisbane do. Can Joe Dannahurst shine in Queensland? I don't think so, but that's another video for another day. Brisbane are a great side with great young talent, ever improving, and I see them finishing 2nd on the ladder in 2021. Leaving on top of the ladder, the Geelong Cats. There's almost a curse behind the teams that lose to Richmond in the grand final. You look at Adelaide, they shit the bed after they lost the grand final. GWS shit the bed. If Geelong shit the bed after signing Jeremy Cameron, that's going to have to be some explosive bloody diarrhea because they cannot cook it. Patrick Dangerfield, a generational talent in that midfield. Their backline is stacked. Good young talent mixed in with veteran players. You're adding Jeremy Cameron, a former Coleman medalist, with last year's Coleman medalist. That's 2 Coleman medalists, and that's a lot of goals. They're so hard to beat in Kardinia Park. If they can get half a season at home, they'll win every one of those games, probably. So I see the Cats having a very strong season and finishing on the top of the ladder. So let's quickly run through the awards. Rising star, I've gone with Riley Thilthorpe, Adelaide boy, drafted to Adelaide. The reason I chose him was because, I don't know, Adelaide are like pretty shite, so he should get a lot of games and just show a lot of his talent. Jamara Ugle-Hagan will have to crack a pretty solid Western Bulldogs side and show his worth. Brownlow, I'm going to go Lachie Neale going back to back. Lachie Neale is clearly the best midfielder in, well, the league, but in the Brisbane midfield. He doesn't go forward like your Bonts, your Fifes, your Cripps, so he might not be the best player in the comp, but if you're getting the ball, if you're near the umpires getting clearances, you're going to get votes, and I think Brisbane will have another Brownlow medalist in Lachie Neale. Who's going to be the Coleman medalist winner? I think it's going to be Charlie Cameron. 2 Brisbane players winning a Brownlow and a Coleman. Now, that should culminate in a flag, you'd hope. Charlie Cameron is your modern day forward, you know. He gets up the ground, he can take a bounce, take the play on, he's crafty around the stoppages inside the forward 50. He can lead, you can't stop him really. He's one of the best players in the comp on his day. Tommy Hawkins won it last year. I see Jeremy Cameron sealing lots of his goals. So time will tell, but I reckon Charlie Cameron could win the Coleman. Who do I think will win the flag? Drumroll please. I think it will be not Richmond going 3-peat. Not Brisbane, who have the Coleman and Brownlow medalists, according to me. I think it'll be Geelong. I think they're too stacked. They've got a coach who's been there and done that before. They've got a Brownlow medalist in Patrick Dangerfield, 2 Coleman medalists, an all-Australian defence. They're just too OP. They've signed a 3-time premiership winger in Isaac Smith, veteran player in Sean Higgins. I mean, there's not a weak link in this side. I don't see who's going to be able to beat them. I think if Sean Higgins and Isaac Smith are in that side on grand final day last year, they don't shit the bed in the third quarter. And I think Geelong win the premiership this year. So what are you going to do about it? Nothing. That's the video anyways. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and drop a sub and comment who you think will win the grand final this year, and then come back to it later in the year if you got it right, and then say, hey Druzy, I got it right, or something. As I said, don't get salty if I offended your team. Come back later in the year and then have a go at me then. Thank you for watching this video. See you later, you plonkers.